Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time to hop on this beautiful morning on April 26th. I got myself, Marquese Pagan, as well as Mr. Luis Moyano. And today we're talking about how to get started with MP, right?
I like it. I like when I get introduced as Mr. Luis Moyano. And yes, Mr. Pagan, today we are talking about how to get started with MP. We're going to talk a little bit. If you don't know what MP is, better check yourself. It's mortgage protection, because this is the Mortgage Protection Foundation call that Marcus and I host every single Monday for your benefit. So if you like to get better at selling some life insurance, selling some mortgage protection, overcoming objections, and you're not on this call, right, Marcus?
It's a shame on you.
Shame, shame, shame. But let's get this bad boy rolling, man. I'm excited. It's going to be a fantastic week. We're in the last week of April. First week of May is coming up. Man, I can't even believe that we're like almost halfway through on the year.
Oh, man, it's crazy. Thinking about that, we're almost done with the first two quarters. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Guys, let's make it as interactive as possible. On the Zoom, we got Roger, Terry, Nick, Susan, Mark, and Twyman in here. And we also have some more people watching on Facebook Live. So good morning to all of you. If you're paying attention, go ahead and drop us a quick little hello, because we like to hear from you. And if you're not going to write anything. But if you are going to be following along with us, we want to be interactive as possible. So right here below on the chat, just hit the little button and you can type in anything you like. Would love to answer your questions. And same thing on Facebook. I have it up. I'll be monitoring whatever anyone says. And then our first person, Carrie Ann, good morning. Good morning to you guys. Let's rock and roll, Marcus. First of all, let me ask you a couple of questions. How long have you been doing this, young man?
Almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. And mortgage protection straight off the bat the whole time?
Whole time, man.
Yeah. No, not much of a final expense for you. What made you go straight into mortgage protection?
It's what I was taught. Simple as that.
Okay. So give me a little backstory, man. Tell me a little more.
Yeah, man. I was working at Staples full time. Sorry, let me turn this echo in my ear down. But yeah, working at Staples full time, I just couldn't stand it, man. Working 40 hours a week, going to school full time, playing college baseball. And we just had a brand new child, Eleonora, my oldest, my wife's second. And those little moments were missed. I mean, having to go in on Black Friday and those types of things, it didn't really make sense. So a buddy of mine working there at the time was actually selling insurance with a different 3-letter company. And I went to one of those boot camp weekly meetings on Wednesdays, and the rest is history, man. I loved it, got licensed, and we transitioned over to Innovative. That's when I first got contracted. So that's my backstory. But my business partner, Brandon Lewis, he was selling MP through and through. And the way he taught me personally was, here's a bunch of rusty, dusty B leads, make some phone calls, call me from the house, from the kitchen table, I'll help close the deal. And I did that for about 6 months just to kind of get my feet wet. And fast forward that story to May 2nd of 2015, I told my job, see ya. And that's where we are.
All right. So how long did you hold both jobs for?
Right about, I got started really, first app was done in December, really got going in January of 15.
And then that's new.
So basically about 5 months. And over that time, on a part-time basis, I wrote about almost 30 grand of business.
You all hear that? 5 months, hard time, going to school, and Marcus graduating, he has some good grades. Having a wife, girlfriend, fiance back then, having a newborn, working at Staples, and selling insurance. Everybody's life is difficult. Winners win. Shout out to you, Marcus.
I
Great way
appreciate
to
you,
make
man.
it work out, man. That's awesome, right? So seriously though, how many times do we hear our agents just complaining and bitching and this and that? Our kids, our grandkids, our grandmothers. Life is gonna happen, no matter what, to every single one of you guys, right? But if you're doing this and not doing anything else, you're just doing this right now. You don't have anywhere to go punch in. You don't have anywhere to clock out. You went into a career, and I say career because it's literally the most lucrative thing I've ever done. It's beautiful, but no one's gonna wake you up. No one's gonna clock you in. No one's gonna, get you in trouble if you don't show up, other than yourself. So if you don't have that accountability level for yourself, oof, man, it's gonna be a tough one, guys. It's like that wake up moment, right? So if it's not you, you're waking up late, not really getting at it, not giving yourself that discipline that you need to. Wake up. Did it take you a while? Did you struggle with that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, think about it. I mean, getting up at 6:30 in the morning, getting ready for work, driving to work, clocking in, running a full 8-hour shift, going home, going to night class for school. When I wasn't working full-time hours, I was playing baseball. So that's almost as equivalent, being a college athlete, of a full-time job without any pay. So I made a choice my sophomore year to hang up the cleats, unfortunately. Or no, going into my junior year, excuse me. I could no longer play baseball. I had to go focus on the real world, take care of family. And as much as I would have loved to continue playing and had a chance to go pro and so forth, but I made the best choice ever.
There you go. You get a beautiful family, man. And growing too. Mr. Joshua Civic likes to come in and give us a little tidbits here. Just said most people use excuses as a reason they can't succeed, why others use it as a reason why they need to succeed.
That's
Dropping
powerful.
bombs. I like it. It's the truth, man. It's the truth. So with me, I've been licensed. What was it? November 18 is when I first got licensed, right? Of November 2018. So literally I'll be going to 3 years this November. I absolutely love what I do. I also started with one of those 3-letter words of other companies, and mortgage protection was part of what they did, but I started with final expense and I mixed both of them. But I honestly, guys, I remember how scared I was to go to my first mortgage protection appointment. Not only was I scared, man, did I butcher it. I did a horrible job, right? But mama, look at me now, right? We've done grown up. It's something that you feel uncomfortable doing, but you get out there and you do it enough and you get better at it. And the more that you watch videos, the more that you practice, the more that you keep doing it, the better you're going to get. So let's have this training here be as, as entry level as possible. Let's go ahead and just give everyone the opportunity of realizing what is mortgage protection, how mortgage protection works, how you sell mortgage protection, how you get leads for mortgage protection, and let's make it so that you guys can actually learn a thing or two here. I'm going to ask it again. Be interactive. You don't get the opportunity to ask questions to Marcus, myself, and even Josh here that we can all answer for you. So put them in the comments. Let me know what you guys got in mind, right? But Marcus, let's teach a little mortgage protection, brother. Where would you start?
Yeah, man, I want to start with, most agents aren't as fortunate as us to come directly into it, right? So I want to touch on the final expense space. How that's going to be a huge stepping stone for most folks to get going in the MP space.
Okay.
So similar to your
saying
story.
you recommend. Well, really quick, get your cursor out of my face, man. Look, there's like
sorry.
a fly
My bad.
flying around me. It's trying to swat it. So yeah, man. So you're saying that we should have agents start with final expense.
Correct. A couple of reasons.
Okay. Ask you questions.
Leads are cheaper, more readily available. So startup costs for a new agent or entry level costs a lot lower. As well as from an underwriting standpoint, it's more black and white. So from an agent, it's easier to go in and learn the processes from each individual carrier and really get off the ground and build that cash flow that is necessary to then transition to a mortgage protection standpoint.
The things that I would tell you. One, you got to get used to running a full schedule, right? And mortgage protection and final expense differ a little bit in that. So with final expense, I like it that you can go ahead and put more than one person in the book in an hour, right? So for final expense, I always recommend when you're booking appointments, book 8 to 16 appointments for the day. Literally pack your schedule every half an hour and try to move them around as close as possible. The reason why is because no shows are going to happen, right? So if you have that many doors lined up and scheduled for the day, you're going to just continuously see people. If you're running late, you call or you reschedule or you no show them. But I'd rather no show a client than have a client no show me, right? So it's going to show you how to grind. Get out of the house early, come home late. It's also going to help you get a better understanding on how to handle no's, how not to take BS. And that's part of this business. Many agents out there will go ahead and say, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll come back. You sleep on it and I'll come back tomorrow and finish the policy. More likely than not, you're never going to hear from those people again. So it's going to teach you, if you keep plugging into final expense and going in hard, it's going to teach you how to deal with those, how to overcome objections, right? You don't leave the house without an application, or you leave the house realizing it's a no sell. That simple. No application equals no sell. So if you master that at every single house, your job is there to at least submit an application. Whatever happens after is different, right? But at least you're doing a good enough job at being able to put that in there. But the most important thing, Marcus, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here. You're moving. You're good.
I'm moving. I like it. The most important thing that I think that final expense brings to you guys is tough skin. And you need to develop tough skin for this business. Right? When I say develop tough skin, you're going to show up to houses and you're going to drive 45 minutes and they're not going to be there. You know, it's going to show you. You got to do a better job at locking down the appointments. You're going to get to places and they're going to tell you no. You're going to make a big sale and they're going to cancel it after a month. You know, you're going to do many things out there that are going to be defeating. How do you solve it? You keep doing it. Your repetition is the key to success. The only people that lose, the only people that fail in life insurance are the people that quit, right? So in my mind, in Marcus's mind, we have quit, I don't know how many times. I probably quit once a month. It used to be once a week. It used to be once a day, right? But now I've gotten to the point that I know there's going to be tough days and I know there's going to be great days. But the more I get out there, the luckier I get. The more ready I am, the more I know my products, the more I know what I'm doing, the more I talk to customers, the luckier I get. So guys, develop the tough skin early, do your final expense, get the cheaper leads, schedule more appointments, get the FVX toolkits, get comfortable with underwriting, and see more people. Then you start feeling comfortable and be like, all right, you know, now we're rolling, we got something going on. Once you have something going on, that means that your pockets should be a little fatter and you can invest in doing direct mail drops for mortgage protection. And that's why I recommend everybody to start off with final expense.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, even with Josh Civic, I mean, he'll tell you if you haven't quit yet, you're not working hard enough. Because we've all had those days to where, I mean, shoot, when I first got started, like one of my hardest weeks was going 0 for 7. I'm talking first week out, 0 for 7. I'm like, why did I quit my job? And then, boom, got back on the phone, ended up writing like $7,000. And that was literally my first week. Had 21 direct mail leads, had a lead bill of like almost $2,000. I mean, or no, about $1,000 they're $50 a piece back then. So, trust me, I was like, why am I doing this? And then I had that epiphany moment. I was like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
So, right. And that one sale comes in, and you're like, all right, I could do this.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's days, I mean, think about it, making 10, 30 an hour. So I would call off of work to go run insurance appointments because I'll make more money. I mean, it sounds silly, but that's the cold hard truth.
No, man, there's nothing silly about that. This is a reality.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
smart
you
business
can go ahead
decision.
and punch in. Yeah, you can go and punch in for your $10 an hour, $15 an hour, or you can go ahead and take a gamble on yourself. I know an agent that I'm telling you, I think he went like 0 for 17. Like that's bad, right? That's almost like a whole, I don't know, week or at least 3, 4 days of appointments, and you don't sell one. But this guy didn't give up. Like he was that bad, right? But he didn't give up and he stayed with it and kept being consistent. And now it's like completely a top producer. His issue paid for whatever company he's with over $200,000 for the year already, right? He's
Boom.
3 years in exactly. So okay, so that's gonna be that, guys. So final expense. I want to get back because I'm asking everyone to be interactive, right? We want the comments. We appreciate the comments and everyone that's putting it on there. For Terry, I went ahead and gave you the link on where you can go ahead and get that FEX toolkit from. For Carrie Ann here, I see here that you're writing, I'm trying to find balance in my business, right? So you and I actually get to talk at least once a week. And I'm just going to give you a little advice that I gave you last time that might be able to help somebody else. Get yourself a paper calendar, like those big ones, right? That you can put up on the wall. You can put up on the word on the wall or on the board, or you can have it on your desk and you can write on there. And map yourself out 1 month ahead, right? Or 1 month behind, if you would. So, like, if anything, let's see, Saturday is going to be the 1st of May. So on Saturday, you're doing your schedule not for May, but for June. Okay. So your schedule for May should have already been done at the beginning of April. And on there, you take it. You're like, all right, Marcus likes calling on Sundays, right? I've talked to a lot of people that love doing calls on Sundays. So you go on there on Sunday, at 10 a.m. I have church. From after church, church is done by 11:30. I go to lunch with the family. I'm going to be there till 3. But then you block it out that from 4 to 6, you're going to make nothing but phone calls. And you're going to set that aside on every single Sunday. That's your commitment to yourself, right? And then you go ahead and schedule your week however you want to. Many people like to have a heavy final expense Monday, right? Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, you're dialing for Thursday and Friday. That's not a bad idea. I think that's kind of pretty cool, right? You give your Saturday and Sunday, but your Sunday's kind of a half day because you're still going to make calls. What I will tell you to do and how I like to do it is you write on that calendar. Sunday, I usually give it for the family, whatever they want to do. It's my family day. But come Monday, I'm scheduling to make my phone calls, make my videos, do my trainings, follow up with any cases that I have pending. But on Mondays, I make my phone calls and I schedule for the week. And I'm looking to schedule for Tuesday and Wednesday, right? I was just talking to Adam Reese recently. You guys know who Adam Reese is? Is, brother or one of the, it's a CEO, or what was his title?
Chief Distribution Officer.
CDO. So with Adam, he is obviously very high up there, but he wants to show everybody that he can do this. And he went out there and he's been running some Medicare appointments. And not only that, he books his own appointments because he knows that nobody else can control his schedule like he can. So he only books for the next day. If they can't do the next day for whatever reason, he's like, no worries, I'll have somebody else get back to you, but I'm only there for this one day. And I'm only booking for the next day. And then he goes and puts in like 10 to 12 appointments for that one day. He says he can do that in about 2 hours, and he's done. So now he's pretty much guaranteed to see a good amount of people because it's only for the next day. So on Mondays, I dial for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And if I'm doing final expense, I'm going to put 8 to 16 appointments every day, right? And whoever I can't reach on those 2 days, then I put them out for the Friday and Saturday. But then on Thursday, I'm back on the phones and I'm dialing and I'm scheduling my appointments for Friday and Saturday. And I might have a couple of my stragglers that I went ahead and I took from my Monday, Tuesday and had to carry over for the Friday, Saturday. But constant activity is going to beat any tough skin problems, any no closing problems, any shyness problems. Eventually, you're going to get tired of sucking. You're going to. Right? You're going to have to decide, like, am I going to keep going out there and do 0 for 5s or sell 1 out of every 8 houses? Or am I going to do, what I need to start getting better, am I going to reach out? Am I going to make more phone calls? Because just to sell one a day, I mean, if you put in that much activity, like honestly, even if you do that and you only sell one a day, that's still 4 a week, right? 4 times 4, the 16 sales for the month, right? So if we look at it that way, at 16 times $60 each, because that's the average for final expense, times 12, you're looking at, oh my God, I lost it, times 960, you're looking at 11,000 issue paid for the month. I mean, like, even if you're at 50% contract and because of a 12-month advance, that's still $5,000 coming home your way. That's more than many people. It's crazy, right? Like, that's having a bad day. Selling 4 policies a week, selling for the month, it just shows you. Get out there and make the activity. Susan's saying here, what are the biggest changes you've made and how you run your business starting out to now? Man, it's a difference, Susan, right? It's a great question. Do you want to answer that? Do you want me to answer that,
Mark? Being more methodical. So when I first got started, I'm just like Luis. Get the activity in, get the experience. Just like anything you're doing, it takes activity, practice, and that learning curve you have to build up. So I would do the same thing. I would start, wasn't so much about appointments a week. It was about 10 to 12. But I had a passion for making 300 phone calls. Like, I need to make my 300 phone calls, good, bad, ugly, whatever comes to the 300 phone calls. That's where I'm starting.
A day or a week?
That was a week. 300 calls a week. So that would be on a 2 dial day. I mean, you're talking 150 to 200 calls every single dial day for 2 days a week. So, and usually, like I said, with that, it was 8 to 12 appointments were getting booked. And I'm talking rusty, dusty B leads. That's not when we were counting the triple dial as 3 dials. That was just 1 dial, right? So that's what I'm talking. It was actually probably more phone calls than that, but still, that was the goal to start with. Now, as I fast forward and I have the experience and the know-how, I'm more methodical about how I schedule my actual days. So little things back then, like not knowing the zip codes or certain counties you're in, I'll just dial and then I'll be running around with my head cut off, going zigzagging 30 minutes this way, 40 minutes that way, an hour that way. As I grew throughout the business, I got more methodical and better on the phone to where I was booking appointments in areas that would take me 15 to 20 minutes to get to. So that was one of the big transitions to what made me more effective, was knowing where I am and then being so confident and strong on the phone to where I was getting those people to see me on that day in those time slots, which ultimately grew the business to where I'm more productive with my actual days, where I go out in the field 4 or 5 appointments. I'm in one city for the first 3, and then I'm traveling for the next 2. That's it. And those are in the same area. So hopefully that makes sense. But I think a lot of agents, don't get bogged down with the location. Just get the activity in. And then as you progress and get better and you hone in your skills, you're able to then start pinpointing those people. I'm sure when Luis calls, he say, hey, I'm going to Fort Myers today. He's booking 8 appointments in Fort Myers. He's not going to be traveling. Or there's some days he might only have 2 or 3 on the south end of town. He's getting the same 3 people in the south end of town, right?
So, yeah, I try. But to be real with you and to be honest with you, no, man, I drive. That's it. If you don't like driving, then you better get good at telesales because you got to drive, right? So I will schedule appointments an hour away from each other. It sucks, but I got to do it, at the end of the day. But I better make sure it's a good appointment and that they're going to be there. Because if I drive there,
because you know they're going to be there.
Ideally, I mean, you never know. It's happened to me that, I drove from Naples to Port Charlotte, or in 20 minutes, they're not there and I have to go back to Naples. And it sucks, right? But I'll tell you guys some more reality behind all this. It's that you're asking what changes I made. So let me back up a little bit and I'm going to readdress what Marcus is bringing up, right? I started final expense only. So the reason why I decided to go into mortgage protection is because I saw the numbers that other agents were producing. And I said, well, how are you doing those numbers? And I realized that they were running both, not just one, both, right? So at the end of the day, when you look at, and these are my numbers, but for my final expense numbers, I would average at around $60 per sale. But my mortgage protections now are around $120 to $150 per sale. right? So right off the bat, it was just about a pure numbers game. But everything comes along with each other. And if you ask Chris Smith, Chris will tell you, like, to him, it just doesn't make sense to pay more for a lead and have less sales when he rather just pay less per lead and have more sales, which is fine, right? So I noticed that. To me, the other thing that I saw is that, and this is probably a personal issue, so I don't want anyone to get discouraged by this comment, but I saw that it was just too many chargebacks happening, right? And I blamed it on the clientele. It may have been some of the products that I was selling to that were possibly not the best ones to work to, but I didn't like my chargeback ratio. It was tough to get out of. So I've been there and I know, how to do it. Thank the Lord that today I'm sitting somewhere around a 90% persistency rate on the policies that I write, because I do write good business. I do try to go ahead and bring them down. I show them all the options. I show them high options, but I say, like, the most important thing is this has to fit your budget. If it doesn't fit your budget today, then it's possibly not going to fit tomorrow. And the last thing you want to do is waste the money. So let's start with the lowest one. And if you have to increase in the next 30 days, we can go ahead and increase it with no problems. So that's
everyone needs to write that down, because that's, if you have one nugget of today's call, I do the same exact thing. It's showing high, but then providing value low. It sounds weird, but what I care about, it's not about what the premium is. It's the fact that they're getting covered. We get paid regardless. It doesn't matter if it's $200 a month or $50 a month. They're covered. We get paid. They're protected. That's what matters.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when clients hear you say that, they look at you funny. Like, you have a 3-option close, and they have 200, 150 or 125, and then $50, and you're saying the $50 makes more sense to start with their budget. They look at you like you have 3 heads, because you're supposed to be the quote unquote salesperson that's going to oversell them the higher number so you make the most. But in reality, the reason our persistence is so high, we're telling people to take the option that fits their budget. We always can adjust it later.
Yeah, 100%, right? So that's a little sales tool, but you show high, don't just stop showing high. If you
don't shop with your own pocketbook.
You know what the best way to not get a sale is to not show it. So this person may not be completely, like, honest with you in how much money they make and all that, or how much they have, right? Where they might be able to afford a $300, $400 a month policy, no problem. But if you don't show it, you definitely won't get it. So anyways, to go back to it, right? So the changes, I was doing fully final expense. Then I went ahead and I changed it and I started doing both, right? So I used mortgage protection. I wasn't able to buy as many mortgage protection leads back then. So we used mortgage protection to try to get some of the appointments, and I would fill it in with final expense, right? Also, my budget increased. Now I spend, James Murray is here. What's up, brother? I spend $7,000 a month, right? Like, $7,000 a month. You, Luis, what are you doing? I'm running a business, guys. So when I'm not producing, and the last couple of weeks have been a little slow for me, then it's a problem, because I'm putting money out and money's not coming back in like it's supposed to. So you make changes. I no longer have an appointment setter. I'm doing it. Did you know that, Marcus?
I'm the same way.
So she's out. My appointment setter no longer needed. I'm back in control. So you're talking about changes, Susan. My changes is going back to the beginning. I'm resetting it and going back to the basics. I'm calling and I'm scheduling my own appointments. Nothing better than you working your own leads. I'm not lowering the amount of leads that I'm getting, but I'm gonna make sure that I maximize those appointments. And since I did it, it's only been a week. Whew, baby, I'm ready. Get ready. May's gonna be on fire. I also know that at the end of the day, it's all based on me, right? So the more that I put into it, the more I'm going to get out of that. And I make sure that I reach up and I reach out. I talk to Marcus, Pete Fournier. I talk to Matthew Murray. I talk to, a lot of the people that are up there, Dusty Edwards, just on a regular basis, because there's so many options out there. Matthew Mueller helped me submit an annuity a couple of days ago. So all that stuff, guys, are the changes that you want to be able to make for yourselves, but always stay true to learning it. Like, there's a learning process in everything that you do. Marcus, you were not a great baseball player right off the bat, were you?
No.
You probably were. You mother lover. You. Yeah.
I was always the biggest kid they just put at first base that couldn't hit. So I ended up being a pitcher.
Okay, so look, so he ended up, but he got better at it, right? Over practice, and that's why so many jobs like to hire athletes. That's why they always want to go that route because they get it. They understand that this results are not immediate, and I personally struggle with that. I wanted that. I wanted that McDonald's philosophy that if I order it, then I'm going to drive up a little bit, and they're going to give it to me. It's going to be that fast, and at the same time part of the reason why I love Final Expense because it's got a little bit of that. You buy a lead, you go on seat, you schedule the appointment, you sell the policy, you're paid very, very quickly. Insane. Right, guys? So let's get back to the training here. If you're going to do anything, make sure that you're setting your fundamentals on. Right? So get that book, get that calendar out for yourself and book your dates accordingly. When are you dialing? When are you seeing clients? When are you dialing again? When are you seeing clients? And stick to that. Your family, obviously to Marcus and myself, they're the most important thing in the world. But my family knows that I can't feed them or take care of them or do anything for them unless I'm able to produce. So work almost as if I was just clocking in anywhere, right? As if I was clocking in anywhere and holding myself as accountable as I possibly can. And so that stuff is going on. What else you got, Marcus?
Yeah, let's answer that question real quick. Roger, depends on the area, the population, but I think we're doing FE leads. It should be about a 0.8 to a 1.2. That's the average return rate. So, I mean, some weeks are going to be lower, and then some weeks are going to be rock stars, and then they should average themselves out. But kind of a good segue point for this is, okay, so you have your final expense down. The one thing you should do if you wanted to transition to MP is you want to bank $2,500 to $3,500 just for marketing, just for leads. So what that means is as a final expense agent, you should be able to then start purchasing B leads. You're not going to jump to A leads. Start purchasing B leads to be able to hone in on the phone skills, the script, a little bit different, as well as the in-home presentation. It's a little bit different. Those leads can range from anywhere from 50 cents to $6, $7, depending on the vendor. And then doing that in supplement to your mail jobs for FE or your Facebook orders for FE, telemarketing, it doesn't matter what type, gives yourself, like Luis said, the ability to run more appointments on a weekly basis, as well as dealing with multiple demographics. So, because believe it or not, 40% of my MP sales are whole life sales. That's a pure fact number. I ran my numbers on it. It's 40% whole life, 40% term, and 20% a money back option, whether it's UL, ROPs, whatever. But that's why I say final expenses. I say is key to being an MP agent because that's going to be a big chunky for actual cases. But as you then progress, you have that nest egg of about $3,000 built up. That's going to be your marketing budget, where you can spend that same $3,000 every single month to get things going. Whether you transition it from fresh FE leads, B MP leads to A MP leads, you're still spending the same amount of money. And you're building your skill set along the way to be able to help close those deals on a more consistent fashion, which, like Luis mentioned, if your average MP case is 120, your FE case is 60, with the more expensive lead, you should be coming out ahead with those higher deals. It's almost a 2-for-1. Does that make sense, Luis?
Yeah, man. Without a doubt. So, but you also went to say that $3,000 is the number. I'm going to start building again, guys, and I want you to follow me because I want you guys to be able to do the same. And it's the beautiful thing about the partnership, but it's time to start growing, right? But what I used to tell my agents when they came on, and again, I'm only 2.5 years into this, right? But I had a team of about 16 people. We're doing $160,000 on a monthly basis. We're going to get back to that. And we're going to do even better than that. What I would tell them all is listen, come in, have some savings you're putting into this, right? Whatever it is, $1,000, whatever, you need to come in with something to be able to invest into leads. But what we're going to do is we're going to build your account up, right? At first, if you need money to come home from the sales that you're making, split it. But first, you're gonna rebuild that $1,000 first and foremost. After you build that $1,000, then you're gonna go 50-50, and anything that you bring, till you actually get to a certain goal, right? And then after you hit $5,000, then you go ahead and have more go home, go towards the house. The goal is first replenishing the amount that you put in. So if it's 1,000, if it's 2,000, replenishing that so that you always have that available. Then growing that, so we strategically raise it up. So if you're starting with 2,000, then we're going to bring that up to have 5,000, right, in your account. Then you're going to do 50-50, whatever comes in, half to you, half to the account, half to you, half to the account. You're going to bring that up and you get to a $5,000 mark. And at the same time, leads are going out, sales are coming in. It's a business, guys. Money's going in and money's going out. As that's happening too, then with some frozen tar. Then as that's happening, then you go ahead and build it up. You bring it up so that you have maybe $10,000 saved up. And then once you're at a $10,000 mark, then you build that up and then everything goes home. But then you always have a business operating expense. You guys need to understand that this is a business and you have to operate it as a business. Money has to flow in and out. That's the beautiful thing about money. We can print it here. And for us to print that money, you got to be able to have money to play the game. So make sure that you have budget aside for yourself and a strategy that you're always going to have money available for leads. There's another thing that Mr. Civic just pointed out. And I want everyone that's watching and listening ready. It's another, I'm going to keep calling you guys out throughout. We got about 17 people right now watching, which we want to double those numbers every week. I want you to post right now on the chats or on the comments. Do you currently have a reoccurring order weekly or no? Say yes, I have weekly recurring orders, or no, I order sporadically. Because that itself is going to be a big difference. My leads are automatic, right? An email goes out, I respond to the email, the orders are placed. But I have that email that has to go out preset for the quarter, so that every single quarter that email is going to be going out by itself on a certain date without me having to think about it, so the lead order is already put in place. And the other piece of that, because I have two sources of leads and I want to get more, right? But out of those two sources of leads, one's just automatic. They just bill my card. Here's 3 leads, pay me this. Here's 10 leads, pay me that. So I better have money available because they're gonna ding my card no matter what, right? So make sure that you guys are doing that. Let me see you guys respond. How many of you have an automatic lead order? Weekly for the past
12 years, man.
years.
That's awesome.
Boom.
I've been going 6 so far. I turned on the leads back in Ohio. I'm not even there anymore. I still got a reoccurring order.
Damien saying, what would, and I want you guys all to respond, but I want to respond to Damien. He's asking, what do you think is the main reason that most agents don't consider MP? Couple of reasons, right? This business is based on final expense. It's usually what's spoken about the most. Medicare is spoken about a lot. You don't have that many people doing the mortgage protection. Mortgage protection has this stigma of people being afraid of it, right? Like it's going to be like a high-end sell or something like that. And people just are uncomfortable with going into something they're not too aware of. And so mortgage protection is honestly, it's as simple as final expense. Right, but my appointments do take a little bit longer than a final expense appointment, but they're worth it. So I think the only reason why people don't get into that,
there's only a good amount of quality lead vendors that several different companies use, and then MP is very much at least mail drop driven or pre-existing orders. So once those counties are taken, it's hard to get back in. So I've had the same counties for 6 years, meaning that company cannot mail for anyone else other than me for 6 years. So far, I turned it back on, and I live in North Carolina. I'm doing everything over the phone in those same counties.
All right. So, boom. Susan Jackson has a recurring lead order. Susan, good job. Terry Williams, no, he's a new agent, or she's a new agent. My apologies, another way. Roger, I don't have one yet. It started a month ago, but hasn't made any sales from the ones yet. James Murray, about to start, realized how much time I was wasting on aged leads. And Roger, set up a call with Josh Civic because he's going to go ahead and point you in the right direction. Myself or Marcus will be happy to help you out here. But guys, you see that, right? It's gonna be the most important thing that you can do, because as long as that money is going out and you don't work those leads, you're not going to if the money is being spent, you're gonna work it. It's that simple, right? Like, you're not a dumb person. You're in this business because you believe in yourself. So you constantly have to have leads coming in. It's that easy. If you're not a master networker and you don't have leads as an investment, then you're making a mistake. Just know that you have to feed the beast. You have to gas the train. You have to make sure that you put fuel in it. And if that's going to be our leads. If you don't have that for yourself, how can you succeed at this?
Yeah, I mean, right? It goes one step further than that, man. I mean, buying leads is betting on yourself that you are going to succeed. Simple as that. I mean, if you don't have the faith to invest some money, whether it's saving up, driving Uber, selling FE, opening up a new credit card strictly for leads, you're starting yourself in the business with a bad mindset and a bad first step forward. Because you're going to start yourself basically hindered, wounded, right? Because you're doubting yourself that you can actually do it. So the leads, like I said, it's the lifeblood, but it's really a psychological element for each individual person to say, hey, I believe in myself. I can do this. I have faith in the process. I'm betting on me to win. Simple as that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And I mean, I've known people that spend $10,000 on leads. It's crazy, right? So 50 times 50. I think right now I get around 25 leads to 30 leads a week. If I could find a way to source more, probably would. Like, if I was spending $2,500 a week on leads, I probably would be writing 15K easy on a weekly basis, right?
Some people are cringing at that number right now.
Yeah, crazy.
But like his thought process, let's break down his thought process only because I know it. He's so confident in what he does and how he serves clients. He's only dealing with the people that want to be dealt with. He's not fighting with the people in the leads that thought it was free, thought it was something else, thought it was Social Security, thought it was included with the mortgage. He's finding the real people that want to protect their families in spite of themselves and seeing those people. He'd much rather spend the money to have more people to talk to on a weekly basis and miss out on those tire kickers or time wasters and deal with the real deal people that want to buy something. That's why he's putting up 8 to 15 grand every single week.
Guys, they're selling. They're filling things out. They get something in the mail. They fill it out, and all you have to go is go and see them. Don't mess it up. Like, that's simple. Be personable, be nice, be knowledgeable. Keep them targeted to where they have to go. Make sure the wife and husband are both there. If they're not both there, you're just giving yourself a big disadvantage, right?
Yeah, so kind of recapping, so we talked about FE, how it's kind of the catalyst, the place to start. We talked about investing into B leads, where there's MP, the transition into running multiple markets. And then now we're really honing in the relentlessness. I mean, that's going to be the one X factor of what makes a good agent a great agent. It's not so much about the investing, but are you going to be relentless and put everything you got, have the faith in yourself to push yourself through those tough times and let yourself win?
100%. You see what Civic just wrote?
Yeah, you spend more on a year on leads than the average household makes. That's crazy. But you also make about 5 times what the average household makes. So it's proofs in the pudding.
All I'm saying is I'm not batting an eye to that. It doesn't matter. Whatever you guys spend on leads at the end of the day and whatever you make, it's going to be 100% of the tax write-off. It's almost like you didn't spend it, you didn't make it, right?
Paying taxes early.
Sure. What do you mean?
It's a expense, so it's a write-off. So you're actually, every time you buy leads, you're paying your tax bill because it subtracts from your income.
Well, that's a way of looking at that.
So it's not an expense; it's an actual. I mean, it's income theoretically.
So let's go ahead and let's do that recap again, right? Let's go over the things because I think we've laid out a great call. First of all, I want to appreciate all of you guys, Carrie Ann, Damon, Sierra, Josh, always you, man, James, Roger, all of you guys that are on here, Terry, Susan, Roger, everyone that's been interactive, guys. Thank you so much. We want to make sure that we ship this call to make it even more interactive. So please don't ever be shy of putting comments and putting things down on the comments, because it's very important for us to be able to get back and give back to you. But the only way that we can give back to you is if we know that you're there, you're listening, and you're in it. If you can, bring a friend next week, right? It's like bring a friend to class, bring a friend with you to the training call. Let's go ahead and grab this and grow this and make this more accountable for everybody. To recap, Marcus, you talked about starting off, if you're a brand new agent, start off with final expense, thicken up your skin, buy leads, get used to it. Starting with mortgage protection. If you're broke, go get the older leads. If you got the older leads, make sure that you call as much as you need to. 300 calls. Marcus was talking about in a week. If you have nothing but old leads, call 300 in a day. It's nothing. Just dial, right? You want to make sure that you're just going boom right into it. Oh, we got Peter Gallagher in here too. Peter, you're awesome, man. Keep up doing the good job you're doing. But get leads, get in front of leads, take those sales and reinvest them and put them back into the business. Set up your calendar 1 month ahead of time. So if you have a trip coming up, you know that week ahead and the week after, it's going to be imperative for you so that you're doubling up on activity and business. But set your calendar up and stay true to the calendar that you're building for yourself. All right? Literally, like, stay true to your calendar. If you say you're going to be working, work. Get out there and do that. And then make sure that you have a reoccurring lead order. If you need help with that, we have a lead department. You guys are with the best IMO out there. We have so many resources available for you guys that the only reason that you're not using them might be because you don't know about them. And if you don't know about them, it's because you're not reaching out. So put the intention back on yourselves. Put the the obligation back on yourself. It's gonna be up to you to be successful. So reach out to people like Civic, like Marcus, like myself, any of the advisors, any of the executive members, any of the people doing great. Man, get out there and do it. Right? What else, Marcus? I think those were like the big things that I took.
That's it. Hey, drop some comments. What y'all want to hear about next? That keeps us fired up, keeps us motivated, and it keeps us creating better content that's actionable. But, there's so many nuggets today. I think everyone should go back, replay the call once it gets fully posted. There's a lot of good things and takeaways. But like I said, it starts with make a commitment. And like I said, I would do it in final expense. If I'd look at it again and I wasn't where I was and with B leads already set up for me, final expense first. Build a nest egg to 2,500 to 3,500. Start investing the MPB leads. Once I get the honed in skills, then transition to A leads, which is based off availability in counties. And then after that, scale it. And with all three of those things going on, be relentless. You're going to be successful. Luis, that's what I got today, my friend.
Susan saying here she'd love a call that focuses more on the business planning, structuring side that we touched on today. Okay. So next week.
Yeah, we can give a brief overview. Like I said, personally, I like those as individual phone calls.
Let's save it for next week, though. Let's make sure that next week we go deep into that.
Everyone, the homework assignment. If you're part of the partnership, go to the Dropbox, print out the fast action start plan. It's going to be a list. I'll post the link inside the Facebook Live. Complete that, and let's talk about it next week and use that as a catalyst to build that business plan. But if you're on the partnership, we already have that document set up. But it's a great way to really map out where you're going, what you want to accomplish, and how to get to it.
Yeah, we'll share our screen next week, and maybe let's go over that document together. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Marcus, what we got going on at 12?
12, we get the partnership call at noon. Phenomenal top 25, man, as always. Couple announcements. A little bit of some more nuggets from Mr. Luis Moyano himself. And then for those traveling into town for the boot camp from the partnership tomorrow and Wednesday, be safe drive. I know there's a handful of folks on here that are listening in and tuning in as they're actually traveling. So we appreciate you taking the time. But no, it's going to be a fun, jam-packed couple days, man. I'm really excited for this program, this platform that Destier was really integral in building out for us. And I think so far we have about 15 confirmed and about another 5 more that are actually attending. So about 20 agents sitting in the classroom, getting some hands-on training for 2 days. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. See you at 12. Bye.
Later.